Morning, Colin. Morning, free lunch. Free lunch, felon. Nice. Oh, yeah? Mm hmm. Well, if LTHM sticks true to form, even with this gap down, it's been finding support on the rising 20, so I guess we'll see. We'll see if these lithium names stay true to form. How's ALB looking? Everything's just getting trashed in this market, though. It's tough to hold up when the SPY just goes south. Yuli, good morning. Okay, Bailey. I gotcha. Okay, little penny. The aquarium's going amazing. I just recently got these two bubble coral put in there, and they look beautiful. Well, should I say I just recently put some bubble coral in there. What a base. North Group Gunman. I just seen Jim Cramer said Oxy wasn't a buy. Now I'm definitely looking for a setup. Yeah, RVPH just isn't something I'll play. It's too thin. I'd probably have to grab 100,000 shares, something like that, and or even a little less, 80,000. I would just be moving it too much. That's like what it trades in a full hour. So I can't do anything with it. It's nice though. It's not bad for a smaller account. Just maybe let it flatten out. I don't really see a perfectly clean supplier. Maybe like 243 or something. But I can't move the thing that much. And that's why I look at dollar volume. I mean, it trades $72,000 in an hour and $1.6 million in a day. It's just not enough. $1.6 million yesterday is not enough. Guys, unless the trade finds you in this environment, it's just probably best to do nothing. Stupid as that sounds. There are days to make money, and every day is a day to lose money. So it's just better to sit on your hands. This might be shaping up into a nice little descending bull flag. We'll see. Oh, no way. Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's just exactly. Yeah, there's just, looks like a good time to go fishing. That's why when my buddy People Wish came in here earlier in the week, he said everything just needs a week, and he's 100% right. In this environment, everything just needs a little more time. Grab some popcorn and do least. But there are names like Snow. I mean, Snow. It would be really hard to imagine Snow going back to and making new lows. So, there are names that have just already seen their low. They've already seen their low. Like with the way Uber's been acting, it and the volume that's been coming in, this insane accumulation on the daily, and same down here, same up here. I mean, this thing's got really nice accumulation candles versus like the red candles on the pullback, and whoever's been buying this thing, they're not letting this thing go see new all-time lows. Just seems very, very, very unlikely. Hmm. Yeah, if names that have been getting absolutely destroyed are finally bottoming, like Roku, things like that are gonna, it's not like I'll trade it, but things like that will start to really help the market stage one base, and then the leaders, they'll pull back, they'll consolidate, and they'll be the leaders. Neo's been acting different too. Shopify. It'd be nice to see like names like like Shopify and Roku and Netflix and just stop making new lows. I'd love to own Melly. We'll see if this one eventually sets up properly. Plug. Plug's still nice. It did what I would have liked to have seen yesterday was reject that supply line. It needed to tighten up this right hand side a little bit more. 3, 4, 5 more days on this right hand side. Let the 50 catch up, and that would be perfect. And then this chart would be perfect. No rush to own it. If it sets up to go, it sets up to go. Yeah, EMPH has to the close of the 20, so we'll see what it does today. It's got some breathing room. The market just needs some help. I don't exactly know what's going on in the underlying. I know it seems like Feds are going to raise rates. I don't really think about stuff like that too much. What's up, man? Good morning. Uh, no, I don't think so. I just think that FedEx had some. Holy shit! It's getting killed. Down another $13 from when I saw it. I saw it at 173 yesterday. I just think that it's already been in a downtrend. Guys, usually, news follows the trend. This isn't as surprising. This is just stage 4 decline. This is what happens to lots of stocks on the backside. Plus they also killed their guy. I mean, this is going into a stage 4 decline. A lot of stocks got to go through this, guys. If you don't know about Stan Weinstein, I suggest you read his books. Makes trading a whole lot easier. This is a stage 4 decline. This was a pretty nice setup here on UPS back when. Had this nice little flag, and then it gapped up on earnings. God, you can't beat these setups, these little power earning gap setups. Buy opening range highs, couple days, 3 to 5 days. Day 5, sell a chunk, trail the rest. There you go, stopped out at 207. And I did it again too down here. How did I convince myself to fully stop day trading? Because I've taken influence from some other really great traders. It's really the best way I can put it. I've seen what's capable with swinging, and then once I tried it myself, and you just show discipline, it's really not as difficult as you'd think. Cigna looks good, but again, it's just super slow. But sometimes in this market, slow money better than no money. Yeah, I've taken great influence from other really solid day traders, and I've seen what's possible. And honestly, it's just way better. I mean, I don't have to come up with a great idea every 10 minutes to make, some money. I can come up with one really good idea and then just sit in it for a super long time. It's just easier. Or, sit in it until some little colored lines on my screen are broken. Seems real easy, like real grade school like. NUE, I think they might have reduced guidance, steel name or something. Lowers guidance, I think. I don't remember what the news was here, but maybe Twitter will get its shit together too. This chart's not looking bad. If it did this and it was above the 200, I would feel so much better. Price action like this makes you think like Elon's about to be forced to take over Twitter. Yeah, I just wish it were over the 200. Swings pay better. Also, I was making a killing day trading in like the hottest market of all time. And yeah, like 30, 40, 50, 60K days day trading. Those are great. But, 200K swings are better on one trade. You can have a portfolio full of great trades. You just got to be patient. Let them work, right? Size them properly. But I mean, there's been times when, I've had like 400 or 500 grand unrealized open, I would never have thought that. It's just basically impossible, that kind of trading with day trading. So just kept it real to myself and what kind of trading I really wanted to do. I don't want to be at my desk all day long until 2:30 in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Just coming up with the last bright idea of the day. The resources for understanding moving averages, your eyeballs. Any resources for understanding moving averages? Yep, your eyes. Well, it's the price that takes over the place of the last 10 days, 20 days, 30, 50 days, 100 days, 200 days. Like, what's the price over that last bit of time period, right? And then obviously, your patience assessed with that, with your trade and what time period you're going to use. Guys, I want to catch a trade like AMR, from the perfect spot. From something like I would have gotten stopped out if you had taken this entry, 25. I mean, you'd have made a great trade. You'd have gotten stopped out at 45. You'd have made $20 a share, which would have been a really nice trade. But there's a great setup right here too at 65. And you wouldn't have been stopped out of this one. I would have owned something like 3 or 4 thousand shares, and I didn't participate in this one this year. But, even just in a month, it doubles. There's a $250,000 in this trade right here in a month, or you can try to day trade every single day, it's not as easy as people think. The man, the myth, the legend. Hugh, good morning. But yeah, it's the reason for wanting to, because again, there's not every day you come to the market there's an opportunity for day trading. Not always things are incredibly liquid, and if I know guys who are really good day traders, but if you're a really good day trader and you make $10,000-$20,000 a day, there's going to come a point in time when you've done so well that that money's just not really doing anything, and then you just have a bigger and bigger portfolio, but you really haven't learned how to put it all to use. One of the biggest reasons and draws for me wanting to swing was because I can end up using my whole portfolio and leverage. you know my whole portfolio plus leverage. That's the draw to it. And then you're making money on money that's not even yours, because you know how to get yourself in safely. You know how to hold something patiently, or you know how to get into something without there being an insane amount of risk per trade. Versus when you day trade, there is an insane amount of risk because you're trying to make money on a shorter time frame and a smaller percent gain. So what do? You overcompensate and you oversize, right? And when that happens, you're more stressed, the account's more stressed, and you can make more money, but not without that stress. My trading styles like Kulamagi, Pradeep, Minervini, Roy Maddox. I mean, bundled up into one asshole, and that's it. That's me. Yeah, breakout trader. I'll trade some undercut rallies. I'll trade low cheat setups. They don't have to be like breakouts necessarily. I do have alternate ways to get myself into things. But look, our job isn't to just sit here and take trades. It's to scan the market, look for strength. And then, somebody said it best. We're going to take trades because, we're going to take trades because of our observations in the market and the way things look, not just because of some other random reason. And despite these last few days, Tesla is, yesterday was kind of rough for Tesla, but it looks good. Tesla still looks really good. And I don't think that this name's gonna go in an unhealthy market. It'll have to go in a strong market. So if this Tesla's telling the truth, see, I just don't know because you got Apple and you got Google and you've got Microsoft, and these don't look so good. These appear like they have a slight cold. But Tesla looks really nice. And then, I mean, it doesn't have a setup, but Rivian's been showing strength. Big accumulation bars down here. Trading some couple X normal time volume on the way up. It's normally means accumulation. Rivian, Neo's also been strong. So who knows? Maybe these EVs have their moment too. Seems like it would be just a matter of time. Yeah, I have been watching the VIX. The only thing that's suspect is the VIX not having taken a spike. Maybe it just one more time up to this 35 level. If we spike to 40, that would be incredible. That would probably mark bottom. I don't really know too much about the VIX or the put call ratio, but from some of the guys that are much smarter than I am, that's something they talk about. Yeah, guys, market's about to open here. I don't see anything I'm about to rush to. No perfect merchandise. Manage what you have. And we'll scan here in a bit, see what happens. I wanted to be watching. Let's see how this tan looks too. Be nice to see these solar names find support on the rising 50. And it'd be nice to see these bio names push back up this. Yeah, this bio ETF doesn't look too bad. XBI. SMR a bit choppy. Yeah. New scale power. It's it's choppy. Super choppy. It's been acting really well too. This Global E Online. This one was on my scan yesterday. I got an alert set on it, but it's not perfect at all by any means. Would need to just build out this right hand side a little bit more. But since earnings, it's been strong. And it seems, and it's doubled from the lows on massive volume. That was its low day right there, the biggest volume day. Usually nice sign of the official bottom. Yeah, this GLBE, not terrible. Bluebird Bio, pass. Pass. Every day this stupid ass name pops up on my scan. I don't know. Might have to adjust this scan because it's picking up this turd every day. Whatever VIP shop is. I don't even know what that is. This one's been holding up really well too for a biotech. You know, there are a handful of bios that are really holding up super well. CYTK is definitely one of those. EVH, PRVA, you know, just to name a few more. Yeah, some of these are holding up well, but there's just no setup. That's hilarious. In a sea of red, HKD's on my scan in green. Avoid this turd by with a 10-foot pole. Yeah, this Tesla's going to be hard to get off the front screen. If there's a name that, you know, can obviously lead the market, it could be a name like Tesla pretty easy. It's not ready yet, but CCJ. That's too bad. UPS, that's ugly. That's an ugly gap down. FedEx even worse. Looks like Walmart on that day. It had terrible news. And the reason you don't want to try to catch fallen knife on day one, because it's usually not the end. Would have made a hell of a short. Yeah, EMPH only savior. EMPH looks great. I would love to see this thing go sideways again. You know, this and something like FSLR. You know, you got these names. They're just the whole, even commodity names, oil, gas names are really getting hit too. But I guess everything is. Yeah, that's the idea. I would like to see FSLR go sideways and find support on the rising 20. I mean, this thing hasn't even touched the 20 since it broke out. I mean, if you want to know what institutions getting involved looks like, FSLR. Yeah, it's just too thin. I can't do anything here. Trades a million shares a day. It's just too thin. If it did this and was like closer to $100, maybe. HLIT, harmonic. It's not ugly though. It's look. It's it's ignoring the market entirely. You know, so something like this, when you see it and it's ignoring the market, you know, take note. You know, especially if it's a name you want to be in. It's not really a name I want to be in particularly. Like I said, I'm really at this point. I'm probably going to try to avoid bios right now. A lot of them have already made really big moves up, and you know now they're dropping offerings, and you know they're just a lot of these names could be on the backside now, guys. If something goes up 500%, you better believe that there are people thinking it's a short, and Yeah, who knows? They just need to set up. Like, I don't see any setups in a lot of these bio names. Plus, the environment's really shitty. Plus, bios don't come without their inherent risk. And again, if when I'm starting to see something like Tesla, Tesla doesn't look like it's too far away from being a really A plus perfect setup in this market. So, I would rather save my dollars for a company like Tesla. I don't want to start chewing up my buying power on subpar names, subpar setups, or names with that, have more risk attached to them for no real reason. Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know that FedEx news caught anybody off guard in the institutional world, but if it did, I mean, clearly people wanted an exit because even in after hours, this thing traded pretty big volume, 600,000 shares and 500,000 shares, and yeah, it's been trading pretty big volume. So when whales want to get out, they how did I hear this one time? When a bunch of elephants rush through a keyhole, that's what it looks like. When a bunch of elephants try to get out through the same keyhole, there's your result. And similar, guys. When elephants try to, hop into the bathtub, they make a big splash, which is why it's good to scan for it. You know, like this CSIQ bar right here, up 10% on the day and 300% average volume. That's institution. Same with this wolf that day. Up on 300% average volume, up over 10% a day. This wolf's starting to look really damn good too. Really damn good. Yeah, loose MVP. You're right. Just a bit more sideways in Tesla. Moving averages catching up, then breaking upward trend line could be a possible leader. Yeah, your thoughts on Tesla are spot on, in my opinion. They really are. There's not going to be much to do in it for the next, handful of days, week even. And then when you do buy it, I would personally like to have the market at my back. Guys, that's why I haven't done any buying in the last 2 days, and I won't do any buying today. I'll just manage what I have and most likely stop myself out of shit, trim down positions, what have you. But, I want to buy something coming out of a clean setup when the market's at my back so that when the market, isn't breathing right down your face, you can get a nice 3 to 5 day momentum burst, be able to trim some profits, and then things are going to be finding support potentially on rising moving averages as the market pulls back, because the market just won't go straight up. But when I do buy something, I want to do it in the right environment. That's the whole idea of this. And guys, you get a nice little push away in a clean base when you're doing things in a healthy market. There are times, and I said this yesterday, shit will just go up in every sector when the market's having a really nice up day. Right? So now imagine if it's coming out of a clean base in a clean setup, and it has good fundamentals and it's in the right space, in the right sector, in the leading sector. It's a leading name. Like when you take all that into account and then you do it in the right market, like that's what the M in Cancelim stands for. It's market, right? What's the last letter and, the last piece to the puzzle? How does the market look, right? I'm not trying to put my money at risk in these last couple of days. I'm going to manage what's been working. I'm going to let it respect my stops. And, if I get taken out, I get taken out. It'll be much easier doing all of this in a healthy market. And only one name on this scan here so far, SQM, and that's a lithium name, but no setup. You know, SQM over these tops would be amazing. Would just be nice to see this thing go sideways for like another 10 days. Build out right under 115, you know, taking out all-time highs, blue sky territory. Could be a really nice setup if it just builds out this right-hand side. You know, this chart's done a really good job of finding support on this rising 100. So I don't really want to see it come back that far. Maybe support at the 50 and then just build out for like another 2-3 weeks. Yeah, well, what looked good doesn't look so good no more. Yeah, I saw that news yesterday. I think it was like the CEO. Yeah, CEOs all over the place selling selling shares. It's not uncommon. But yeah, an unusual amount for sure. VRTX, Vertex Pharmaceuticals. Yeah, and you know what? This thing's shaping up too. Yeah, whatever you're scanning, your scan's working over there. It's a nice chart. It's a bit slow, but you know, again, guys, slow money better than no money. Um, what was the other one? Cigna? CI, was it? Yeah. Let's see what these others are doing. Look at AbbVie on a day like today and a day like yesterday. Just pushes higher. Interesting. I like AbbVie. This thing had a picture perfect setup down here. Look at this. Move up and then sideways. I mean, you couldn't even ask for better. You couldn't even ask for better. And then it took off. Made a big ass move. Right? Even being slow at 2% a day. Yeah, AbbVie might be setting up again. You saying Vertex, maybe check up on this one. Make sure. You're still sitting on a 112 average? God bless you. You should have taken your exit at 160 or whatever. You know, as you knew it wasn't going to close above the 20 and had already made this insane move up. I mean, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you didn't have to hold through all that. You got in at a great time. I mean, you could have even bought, yeah, this power earnings gap, that 112 average, if that's where you bought it. If you did that, you know, really, if you held it through even this pullback of the 50, that should have been your exit, a close of the 50. But anyway, nice trade. Yeah, not a lot to do out here, guys. Not a lot to do. Just mind your positions. Yeah, I'm not going to count HKD. This is, you know, it's asking for trouble. I won't trade names like this. Just random. Random China pump goes, you know, 1,000% or some shit in a day. Moderna gave one nice setup in here, and I did not take it. Nice little, found nice move up, found support on the 50, got nice and tight over 165, and then in 2 days goes from 167 to 195. Awesome move. 2 day momentum burst, not quite 3 to 5, but still. Yeah, I've got an alert on PDD as well, but I mean, it's acting fine. PDD. I've even said I'd like to see this right hand side of bases. I always like to see them bigger. The bigger the consolidation, the bigger the possible breakout. Would you buy something setting up below a declining 200 if KYMR tightens up here? Well, it's fast enough. It's already shown the ability to make a big move. It had a halfway decent setup down here. And then a gap up on no news, which I don't love, really. But, gapped up out of that range. Yeah, I would. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I took toast. That was below the 200 as well. I took toast right as it got tight down there. It broke out over 1880. So I didn't get a big position of toast myself, so I was just going to use the 20 as my stop. Sure, it sucks seeing $2.50 go back, but the position wasn't very big to begin with, and I like toast. I go out to eat plenty, and I see them out everywhere. Looks like I literally go out to eat a bunch, and I see their those little handheld devices like everywhere I go to eat. So I don't know too much about the restaurant industry or bill processing, or not a lot about it, but every time I go out to eat, I ask the servers how they like that platform, and every single one of them tells me they love it. So if that's really true, I'll be patient. Sooner or later, you're going to get yourself in these trades, guys. You only need a handful of these great trades a year, like anomalies, right? Things that end up going 100+%. And, you could have a great year on just, 3, 4, 5 trades. And it won't require much brain power. LifeStance Health Group. Yeah, it had this really big volume bar come in the other day. It's digesting the move pretty well, getting back up above the 200. It's one I'll avoid personally. It's just too thin. But for a smaller account, guys, this is not bad. If it sets up properly, it just needs a little longer. And then, maybe take out that wick top at 1050. Let it set up just underneath that. But I'll pass on something like that. There's too many names out there. Like, I only want to be in the, William O'Neill said it once, like, just, you can be leveraged in 3-4 names of the best names in the market and double your account. You only need 3-4 of the very best names in the entire market. You just need to identify them and look for a proper entry. And if they really are the 3 or the 4 best names, you're going to get a good entry, and it's not going to turn around for you. It's gone. Why? Because it's one of the 3-4 best. But the job is to identify it, right? It's not to get into every other name in the meantime. Like, guys, if I bought FSLR one time, okay, you'd be sitting in a year trade, changing trade. Just once, one trade. Had you identified the gap up and been ready to buy LNTH at the beginning of this gap up, you just needed one trade. There's 2 names, right? EMPH, the other one, right? You bought the gap up. Suave, the other. Like, if you just identify the very best setups with good fundamentals, like in a healthier market, and they EP, that's it. You just buy those EPs. And sometimes there's only 4 or 5 of them all year, but then they can literally go all year, right? another example of this last year was Upstart. Right, had a halfway decent setup, then gapped up on earnings. You know, you could have been buying in the 160s, low 160s. You know, it ends up going to 400. 400. I mean, you only need a handful of these all year to make a year. One or two or three of these trades and year's done. What you have to do is you have to avoid all the other bullshit. And you have to avoid chopping yourself up in a crappy environment. Yeah, the 10 or the 20. It really just depends. Is a close below the 10 SMA your trailing stop? Yeah, the 10 or the 20. It really depends the current price. Like EMPH, I bought on 9.6, and you know, after it gave that 3-day push, you know, I was then using the 20 because it was already above my average. So that has a lot to do with it. Where's the average price of the stock, or where's the, you know, where's my average compared to the 20-day? This Starbucks is starting to get its act together, huh? Starbucks is starting to look a lot better. You know, it's only down 30% from all-time highs. So believe it or not, there's not as much overhead supply as some might think. Starbucks. I don't drink Starbucks, but I drink espressos from my house. Yeah, I mean, you know, so like LTHM, which I'm in, right? You know, it found support on this rising 20, and then it found support right here on its rising 20, and I actually, the entry was 31.50. I chased it up a little bit, but irrelevant. 31.50 should have been the proper entry right in here, right as it broke these little tops. 1, 2, 3, those little 3-day tops, and then it took off, right? But since it's shown support on the rising 20, and essentially you're getting in right at that rising, you know, right as it's finding support on the rising 20, I'm going to use that as my stop. So, you know, and it pulled back. It's found support on the rising 20 again. And then, you know, hopefully it's doing it again. You know, is it actually? I don't know if it will, right? I'm going to give it till the close of the day. And then I'll make that decision. Now, here's the thing. Like, for instance, with EMPH, if it starts to roll over to like 292 or something like that, and you just know, like, hey, there's like, you know, or if there's like 2 hours left in the day and it's clearly below the 20 and the market looks like shit and it looks like shit, I won't have to wait until, you know, 258 to make that decision. You know, I already know it's going to close below. So I take my exit, you know, before, you know, before it fails even harder, in other words. So, and one thing I'll never do is I'll never let a green trade go red. You know, not when I've had really nice profits on it. I don't have, you know, all of my position left, but that's my mentality, guys. I will not let a green trade go red. I sold for profits once. I sold for profits twice. The stop below, which is 298, and you know my average is basically 288. I'm not gonna give up that extra $10 even on 30% of my position. You know, if I could tell by end of day this is gonna close like 295, 296, I'm out. And then if it sets itself back up, I'll buy it. This REGN too. This gap up was crazy. Went and saw new 52-week highs on just this gap up alone. Absolute powerful. Absolutely powerful. But no setup. Yeah, do you get in right at the breakout, or do you look for opening range highs? Well, opening range highs is your breakout most of the time, right? Sometimes it could be the first 5-minute candle to make a high, over the previous day's high, first hour candle to make a high. You just have to identify a spot where you would be comfortable owning it. So like, EMPH, for instance, when I bought it at 240. So it was just over this little candlesticks high. Right? Suave, something similar. But it was over the previous days. Right? So there's your after hours high, and then you just draw your line there, set an alert. You have to be ready for these though. You have to know this had earnings, and that's why I scan at night. Right? I scan at night, this will come up on my scanner, and it'll look like that, and I'll be like, whoa. And then I'll look at the earnings, say, oh, that was solid, draw my line, and then when it hits, I'm ready to execute on something like this in the morning, because I know that these move fast. They move right through that pivot, and sometimes they just don't turn around. Southern Company. Isn't this train? Isn't there a bunch of shit going on with trains right now? Some news. Yes. Thanks, Marco. I appreciate that. Glad I can teach you something, man. CVS isn't looking bad at all either. CVS, it's just slow. 1.73 average daily range. I mean, you'd have to have a really big account to want to play something this slow. You really would. Yeah, I saw that. The railroad strikes, weren't they supposed to start today or something? This one's also just super slow too. It's a name like Uber that would get me really interested. Snow looks really damn good. Hopefully Snow sets up soon. Am I from the UK? No, I'm from Chicago. Chicago, Illinois. I'm from the center of the map, Midwest. TWLO has seen its better days, huh? I remember when this thing gapped down and it was in the 270s or 280s. Yeah, down here. I remember this too. And I was thinking, wow, what a major gap down. And in the back of my mind, this was last year and I wasn't a full-time swing trader. And my day trading mind was like, you know what, this thing's probably got to bounce. It'd be good for a day trade off these lows down here. And it did. It did. But what did it do? Rejected the declining moving average. So just like a power earnings gap to the upside, power earnings gap to the downside. And it bounced right back up. It found supply and not support at the declining 10. And then sayonara. Look at how it surfed the 20. Look at how it surfed the 20. Hey, you two. Knock that shit off. My dogs. CYTK, man. Too bad it's been so choppy. If it's been a little bit more like clean and linear, you know, it'd be great. No, there's no. It's not tempting at all to day trade anymore. You got to get that crap out of your system. Besides, I don't want to have to come up with a good idea every 5 minutes. And you know what day trading does, truly, more than anything, is because you're staring at, you know, a smaller time frame, you know, like 15 and 20 minute or 30 minute or whatever, 1 minute, 5 minute charts, whatever, any smaller time frame chart. You know, you're not scanning the market, so you're actually not really seeing where money's going, where money's leaving. You know, you're focused on this one little chart like CLEU today, which is getting volume, right? And it's just this piece of shit, but it's getting a bunch of volume. So it's like you'd be like, oh, okay, well, like I'll just day trade that, you know? And it's like the only thing on the board right now with any kind of volume, literally. Everything else is like in the millions of shares, like very low millions, so, or less, in the hundreds of thousands of shares still so far in the first 30 minutes of the day, which means, you know, it's a pretty light volume day out there. And like, why would I have temptation to do anything in this market? Lucid, huh? Nice to see Lucid perking up. I'm sure this is on my scans, but it'll just be further down because of liquidity.
ASKH.
You know, we'll see what Oxy does down here. Handful of times it's been able to find support on the rising 100. And we'll see. Does that remain true, Uncle Warren? We'll see. Yeah, markets in some oversold territory. I mean, but again, guys, that does not mean that you know, anything's in like a really buyable position and you should go rushing to buy it. You know, what you guys really want to study and learn is what's called a follow through day. And usually it's on the third or the fourth up day, right? So you get like 3 up days in a row, and then that fourth one, it's on even larger volume than that first, or than the first, then the last 3. It's on larger than relative volume. That's called a follow through day. And something that I've learned from, like, you know, guys like Mark or even Christian, you want to buy something. I mean, fucking anything on follow through day. I literally anything. And that's it's something that works, guys. It's something that can work. Buying something on follow through day. But you guys need to study what that is. And then obviously once you have a grasp of the setups, I mean, I remember follow through day a few weeks or months ago. This is I bought PLAB, right? It was had this move up and just went sideways. And then I bought PLAB that day. This was your follow through day in the market. Did it work? No, not really. But CELH did, and I added to my position that same day. I think it was like in here. Yeah, follow through days occur. So it's usually after like about three up days, and then that fourth up day or even the third up day is on larger than relative volume. So you'll look at like the previous day's volume, and the up day will be on even heavier volume. That's called a follow through day. Guys like William O'Neill teach that. He's a really old school fella, but he's the guy who created Investors Business Daily and essentially the creator of the CanSlim method. And if you're not familiar with CanSlim, well, become familiar. Yes, William O'Neill's got a great book, How to Make Money in Stocks. Everybody should read that book. A lot of what I talk about is in that book. Humana. Wow. Look at this. Found support on the rising 400. And, guys, we talked about this earlier in the week. When stocks come down and start to roll over, it found support on the 100. But what did it do the very next day? It gapped over everything. So what is this? Is this a egg or is this a tennis ball? Right? It's a tennis ball, all right. That's a tennis ball. And tennis balls are what you want to be in. Now, it's slow. It's not something that I would buy, per se, for myself. Or if my portfolio were much larger, without question, I would love to own Humana. Humana, Cigna, clearly these CI, these, what are these? Health insurance names are looking better. And, remember I was talking about this yesterday too. You have to ask yourself, like, if the market is indeed, building out that stage one base and it's about done going down, what are the names in the sector that can carry the market? What are the sectors that can carry the market higher? And I said solar, maybe some healthcare, So, it's nice to see Humana, Aetna. What's the other one? Molina Health, MOH. MOH doesn't look terrible, right? Look at how long this thing's just been in an uptrend for. Had this ugly little down period, but what did it do? Did it die? No, it bounced right back up to all-time highs. This thing's a tennis ball. Far from an egg. Yeah. Whatever this is. Change Healthcare. Yep. Another one. Talk about strong. Look, guys, they're slow. This thing moves 1% a day, but that's not my point. My point is you need something to carry the markets higher, right? You need something to carry the markets higher. And that's exactly what these healthcare names can be. They're a sector that can carry the market higher. Now, is it names that I want to own? No, they're not. They move 1% a day. This did have a really nice setup in here, though. Look, nice move up, and then, you could either draw your little horizontal line here or right over this really tight red days high. I mean, guys, that's fucking a textbook setup. Probably one we've gone over in here a zillion times already. Literally. There you go. I want to buy something coming out of a really tight red day. Found support on the 20, got really tight above the 10, took out those highs on increasing volume. I mean, nothing magical. If you owned it at $25, you look great. It's slow as shit, though. It's slow as shit. And that's why I won't own any of these names. But the point is, what can take our markets higher? What can take our markets higher are sectors, right? And what sectors would that be? Well, it appears as if healthcare is one of them from just what we saw. I didn't even know about CHNG. Humana, Cigna, Molina Health. I mean, these look great, right? And then, of course, solars. FSLR, EMPH, CSIQ. There was another one. This one doesn't look as good. There was another one. This one may have my interest as a dip buy setup, actually. We're going to draw an alert over today's high. It'd be maybe finding support on the rising 50. Breaks itself back into the range. Who knows? It's in the right sector. These are kind of setups that I would take. These are dip buy setups. Finding support off the 50. I know plenty of guys who compete in the United States Championship. This is their bread and butter. Finding support on the 50. How much percent do I risk per trade? God, sometimes nothing, man. Sometimes nothing. How can I put this? Like, there's been times when I've traded and owned $150 names, and I got 1,000 shares, right? But I only have like 50 cents of risk or $1 of risk. Like, I'm risking $1,000 to a $1 million+ account. So, let that sink in. Sometimes in terms of percentage, not much. It really depends the setup. If it's a really tight setup, your risk is always going to be very minimal. My stop is low of day. Like, I don't just extend my stop because, or get stupid crazy size because, I'm risking, like, I need to lose a certain amount if I'm wrong. Like, that's not my mentality. Well, let's see. You're maybe finding support on the rising 50. Yeah, so I don't really have a fixed percent that I risk per trade. Um, every trade's a case by case basis, and look, here's something that I've got to make mention because I learned this from Lance. There are times when something could be a nice setup like AMRC, which I know Blaine took, and we took it right down here, right over 67 or right around $68, I believe she's in, right? So it's a nice setup, but it doesn't warrant the kind of size that my Oxy trade warranted when I took it, right? Or the kind of size that EMPH would need. Because guys, you need to bet bigger. You can't just like if every trade you're like, all right, I'm gonna just risk 1,000 on like every trade you take. That in theory that sounds good, right? But that's not how you actually want to do it. Because just because something looks good, you can't just risk 1,000 on EMPH and then 1,000 on AMRC. They're not the same setups. They're not in the same sector, and one's clearly a leader, and the other one's just kind of a decent setup, right? You have to take bigger risk. You have to take bigger risk on those premium hands. I mean, guys, look, think about it like this. The stock market and the casino are basically the exact same thing, right? But the difference is, imagine if I got to walk into the casino and before I even put my money down, I got to make sure that I had aces in my hand, right? What would you be betting then, right? So something can look good, but it's just two face cards. They're nice, but they're just face cards, right? You have a queen 10 or queen jack, right? Offsuit versus, before I even place my money down, I know I've got aces, right? So when you've got aces, you can't just risk $1,000 on that as you would your queen jack. You just can't do it, I mean, that's like the, over time, you need to capitalize. You need to capitalize on those A plus premium hands in a healthy market, in the right sector, as one of the leaders in the space. Like, you have to increase your risk on that trade, and it's worth it. It really is worth increasing the risk on the trade. Um, yeah, you can't take equal risk on every trade. So sometimes you have to just size up. But again, yeah, it's nice to have like a basis, a starting point for what your rules are, right? And it's, you know, yeah, I don't want to lose more than, 1% of my equity per trade. Okay, that's fine. Right? But that just means that your non, ace hands, you're only risking, $600, $700, $800. And then, if you're, and so that's like how I would tell people. And then, on your A plus hands, you got to double it up. You got to risk more because they're super premium. But you have to have studied that. Like, you got to know what that premium hand looks like in a good market, what, you know, a nice volatility contraction pattern looks like, etc. Yeah, you absolutely cannot bet the same on, just whatever setups versus, something that's beautiful. Like, it's just, can't do it. Like, again, we took STEM, right down here, right? And STEM's cool, but STEM is in not the right sector. STEM's like a tech name, right? Is STEM, no, software infrastructure. STEM's no good. STEM's not the same as to put the kind of risk you would put on, Oxy when oil and gas names were just going crazy, and then you get a picture perfect setup like this. Where like clearly you got this stupid clear supply level, and then as soon as it starts to break over and it's in the right sector, found support higher low, higher low, higher low on the 100. I mean, guys, this is I'm playing poker here, and not only do I have aces, I know the guy who's bluffing has a 7 deuce. Okay? I know I can't lose. So that's why I took almost 18,000 shares on this thing. It was like the largest swing position I'd ever done. But why? Why would I do that? Well, because I knew that my likelihood of being wrong was very, very, very low. Okay, cool. That's what STEM does. Provide solutions that address the challenges of today's dynamic energy market. I feel like you went right on their company website. That was their thing. By combining advanced energy storage solutions with Athena, a world-class AI-powered analytics platform. That's cool. It's cool to know what they do, right? But again, it's when you've got, CEG and NFE and, LNG, um, already going up, before Oxy took off. I know how much money's flooding this space. So when it was Oxy's turn, I got stupid aggressive. Is LTHM a good buy? Could be. Their fundamentals are nice. They didn't have a chart to buy it today, but they could be a good buy for later. Yeah, I mean, it held support on the 20, found support on the 20, found support on the 20, finding support possibly on the 20. We'll see. BJ still looks great. Yeah, SO actually had a nice setup down here. I didn't trade it, but Tried to break down, tennis ball right up, and what'd it do? Went sideways, got tight. So I had my lines here and gone. Wasn't too bad. But it's just choppy. Charles Schwab, huh? I think this thing's probably in like what, financial services or something. I wonder if it's in the same sector as HRB, because this thing has been an absolute monster, and HRB might actually be setting up again. Would be cool if the 50 caught up. Store. Buyout news? Is that why this happened? Yep. Yeah, acquisition. Yeah, this CVS doesn't look bad. Just slow. Be cool to own Airbnb too. Airbnb might be finally bottoming. I don't worry too much about overhead supply on these names because they're young. They're young IPOs. I care more about the setup on something like this. Airbnb's looking better. Appears to have maybe found its low. It'd be hard, I think, for this thing to go way much lower. Lose another 30%. That'd be tough. How to Make Money in Stocks. Are you looking for the author, brother? Run. It's by William O'Neill. Bill O'Neill. Will O'Neill. Whatever. How to Make Money in Stocks. Here, I'll show you. Looks like that. Yeah, Bill O'Neill. It's a great book. It's a great starter. Great starting jump off spot for you. Yeah, you could look at Airbnb like a little cup and handle. I mean, it's kind of small, or even I guess this could be the cup right down here, all the way down to its low and back up, and then this is like its little handle. Yeah, Airbnb might be interesting later. Yeah, CanSlim. The CanSlim method makes the most amount of sense to my brain. Um, the reason that a chart looks nice, the reason that a chart looks the way it does is because of institutions. No other reason. Okay, if it's a decent chart, that's at least a good company and trading some healthy volume. The reason a chart looks the way it does is because of institutions, guys. That's why. So, the when you start understanding technicals, but then you start applying the fundamentals to it as well, you get a lot more comfort, knowing what you own, knowing that you own something that actually makes money, that has like increased revenues and sales, that has growth. This setup here for Aura is starting to look really good. It's a slower name, but I almost don't give a shit. This thing looks so nice. Yeah, this Aura's starting to look really damn good. What's Aura do? Utilities, renewable. Oh man, talk about the perfect fucking sector. Okay, I see you, Aura. Yeah, this is a beautiful setup here, guys. You want to know what a nice chart looks like? Aura. There it is. U.S. energy storage market. I mean, that can't get any better. If everybody's got their panties in a bunch over solar, well, you know, solar and wind sound cool, but you need to store that power something, you know, somewhere. Aura, nice chart. That is something I would play personally. And this is why you don't overstay your welcome in stocks either. This is why you don't overstay your welcome. Had a halfway decent setup down here, just built some higher lows, got up moving averages, you know, took out this little range at 225, and then, you know, had a really nice move. AEP. I'm pretty sure I saw a bunch of Twitter dudes talking about this could be a market leader. Yeah, well, now it's rejecting the 20 on the downside. That's why you gotta have rules for when to leave. Otherwise, you give everything back. Yeah, Aura is definitely a diamond in the rough, especially in this market. But imagine what that's telling you. Remember the basketball analogy I went over yesterday? You know, imagine that the market right now is like your hands holding a basketball underwater. You know, what will happen when that pressure, when your hands let go, or when the market finally stops taking a shit? Right? That basketball is going to pop right back up. Or it's just going to continue to float higher. Um, I just scan and then I look at the news. I scan and I look at the news right on TD. So when during earnings season, how does my preparation change? Um, yeah, Market Smith is fine, but I use Market Smith more to see the accumulation distribution rating, more to check what group it's in, if it's in a leading group, you know, just to see if there's a nice short interest down there. You know, it gives me some nice data. If this was above the 200, I would be way more interested too. I don't think it could matter that much because it's basically right at the 200 if it can break over those tops. But, you know, feels like this is waiting on some Elon Musk news is what it looks like. Yeah, Aura in the utility sector, it's a really nice chart. Guys, that's why we scan. It's exactly why we scan, you know? And then believe me, it's on watch. I've got an alert on it already. You scan those and you put those on watch and you figure out what the hell they do, and then you sit patiently and do nothing. I mean, seriously, FSLR, just touch the fucking 20 already. What the hell? Yeah. Oh, is it? I just FSLR's on one of my scans, and you know, I don't own it, so it's not like I keep my eyes on it every second. But I mean, this thing's so damn strong, it's stupid. uh, Oh God, and I can't even buy this thing up here. Like, I'd like to buy it out of this bull flag, but I can't. I can't do it. Thoughts on taking a break above 70 in a few more days? Yeah, on could be cool. I just want to see a clean supply area. I do. I really do. I like on. I like SMCI, and I like GFS. Um, but here's the thing. It's like semis look like they're kind of out of favor. What's the Yeah, here's the semiconductor ETF. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? If this one starts to shape up a little bit better, but all the other semis kind of look like crap. Although they are pushing a little bit higher today. Nvidia, AMD, but they both still look like absolute dog shit. And they're the supposed leaders. Um, and when your supposed leaders look like crap, now could there be new leadership in this space? Yeah, sure. GFS looks good. Could be finding support on the rising 50. We don't know. Guess that's a hindsight thing, right? But yeah, we'll see. Yeah, or Soxel's another one. Yeah, they look like absolute shit. Thought I'd throw that out there. They look like ass. So yeah, there's what are you gonna do? I'd rather be in a group where there's more participation, like solar. That's why I believe solar can actually drag our market higher versus these semis. But they look all right. SMCI on and GFS. They're the three that I know, or that I've scanned and I've seen that my opinion looked the best. But who knows? What sector is it in? I want to be in the leading sectors in the market. You have alerts set for AEHR at 13. Why is that? AEHR looks great up here. Yeah, I mean, he we dirty dip buyer in the room. Dirty dip buyer. Yeah, I don't have alert set on AEHR at 13. My buddy bought it at 1530s and it's looking great. Yeah, it looks perfect on the daily here. I don't know. I'd need to see a cleaner supply. I'd like to see it get tight just underneath these 1850s personally, and then buy it, as it's breaking out through that level. But had you bought it after it found support on the 50, or it could come down and find support on the 50 again, I suppose. But if the market actually bounces, then it might not happen. Well, so much for playing it off of the 50. Schwab. EMPH looks righteous, guys. Again, finding support on the rising 200 on the 60 minute, and looks like it's finding support on the rising 20 on the daily. And my stop will continue to be a close below the 20. Leading sector doing what leading sectors do. Now, it would be cool if CSIQ closed just like this, just above the 50. Nice tight day, open to close. I would be interested in maybe buying it tomorrow over today's high. That's a pullback buy setup. But again, you're not gonna be buying. Like I wasn't buying this red candle, right? I'm gonna be buying it as it's pushing up through today's highs in a green candle, right? That could be considered a pullback buy. It's another kind of an entry that I will take. It's another kind of entry that I like taking, especially if FSLR and EMPH continue to show that strength. Run could be nice in a few days next week too. Over 38, 39 bucks. Plug looks decent too. What's Plug doing today? Looks like it might be finding support on the rising 20. Appa's starting to look better too. But again, it feels a little bit like a laggard in the space, but I mean, it really has been actually. But it still made a really nice move, big move. But yeah, we'll see. Man, this O'Reilly's Automotive has been slow as death, but it's known to it's made a big move in the past. And guys, this is what actually has me believing our market's bottoming. Names like DraftKings, it looks like these names have put in their lows. They built a base and then they started now uptrending. You know, a lot of these growth names, in my opinion, are done getting killed. They're just done getting killed. It just is what it is. Man, when EMPH moves, this thing, $10, $12 at a time. Let me tell you, it was hard having a big position in this thing the day I bought it. I'm at normal size now, but when I bought it, it wasn't so normal. I'll tell you that. I did, unfortunately, or should I just say I stopped myself out on 9-2. You know, it actually closed below in a red candle. Yeah, I cut it on this day, unfortunately. Didn't close strong, closed below the previous day's close. I mean, but then I bought it, literally the very next day. So, yeah, it sucked getting stopped out for sure, only to then rebuy it a little higher the next day, but it didn't matter. I owned a 212 average and then 240, so I did really, really well on the front side. Um, so yeah, I wasn't mad about it. I don't really give a shit. I just follow my rules. Close below, I'm out. But in hindsight, yeah, I could have stayed, but I didn't. Unfortunately, sometimes it's a judgment call, right? It's a judgment call. How does the stock look? How's the market look? And I just exited it, and guess what? I was willing to buy it again a little higher. Not a big deal. Man, this Cardinal Health has made a humongous move. Yeah, EMPH is a leader in solar. Maybe another couple weeks on Uber and we might have something. Why did I buy prior to the EP on EMPH? Because I had a halfway decent entry. I wasn't necessarily trying to front run earnings. I was just trying to get into a name that I really liked. You know, believe it or not, a friend of mine actually got in down here. 172. People wish. He doesn't own a bunch anymore, but yeah, he got in and he was using the low of that day as a stop. Never got hit. Yeah, but you know, something. Remember why something's holding up. Something's holding up because institutions are doing that, right? And you know, this thing just had this nice volatility contraction pattern. So in my mind, you know, I thought EMPH would do well. Besides, EMPH isn't some turd, guys. They're a company that's made 1,000% move, and then just went sideways for a year. That's all it did. That's all it did. So yeah, I got myself into a halfway decent entry, and then it was crazy because I legitimately had my finger on the trigger on earnings day. I was like, okay, if these earnings aren't gonna be good, this thing will dump. And you know, I didn't have massive size. When I initially bought EMPH, I had 800 shares at 212. So it's not like I wasn't going to be able to get myself out, or I was freaking that, you know, I would make it dump even harder in after hours. And then it had great earnings and the thing gapped up $20 for me, you know, and I sold a tiny little piece at like 232. And then I just rebought the next day as long as it was going to EP, as long as it would hold up and then rip through my level. And I just rebought more. I didn't sell my whole initial 212, and then I just rebought more at 240. And then I got some sells off at like, I don't know, 290 something, right in this greens candlestick on a 8-2. And then stopped out down here, about 280. And rebought it, you know, $8 higher. No big deal. But yeah, you know, I don't always know something's gonna EP. It just looks like a nice setup. Like, you know, you could have bought Suave beforehand. You know, this thing had just. I mean, it was kind of just like this ascending wedge. But if you found a tight day to buy it out of, you could have bought Suave. You know. Yeah, guys. Oftentimes, and I'll repeat this a few more times. Like, usually news follows the current trend, right? Like usually the news follows whatever current trend is going on. What did FedEx look like before it gapped down? It was already below all moving averages and clearly already in a downtrend. Why do you guys think that is? You think it's because traders like myself and you are getting rid of FedEx? Fuck no. Institutions are getting rid of FedEx. Hence the reason it's below moving averages. Right? And then they all got the earnings and then everybody rushed to the exit. Right? But you guys get my point. Like news always follows, you know, the trend of the stock. Or tends to. BJ. Love this name. Chesapeake Energy's holding up better than most of these energy names. XOM doesn't look too bad either. I mean, these could all be finding support on the rising 50. I mean, CVX is flagging up pretty damn nice on the daily if I'm keeping it real. XOM could be finding support on the rising 50 or not. It could just be closing below. And then it'd be time to take your exit. But if it closes above and then it breaks out over today's high, it could be a dip buy setup. Not necessarily a breakout setup, but a dip buy setup. Wow, Lucid's still going, huh? Yeah, who knows, guys? Maybe these EVs will lead the space later. You know, notably Rivian. You know, it's still a young IPO and it had this insane move in the very beginning, but if it could start to creep up over the, you know, or flatten out, get up over the 200, could be nice. It'll be good to know what it does up there. Yeah, Blaine's got BJ at 74. She bought it. You see this tight red day? She bought it over 74. We had scanned for it together. I didn't buy it, but she did. And then her stop, it was the low of this day. And so she was risking $1.50, and it's never done anything to her. Nothing but good things. And I'm pretty sure she's trimmed a tiny little piece, and now her stop's going to be the 20 on the daily. Who knows? BJ can go for... Wow, who the fuck knows? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Wolf. I'd like to see if I can get myself into Wolf if we get a proper setup and Suave. I didn't buy either of these EPs. We'll see what these end up doing. Nova Energy, Sonova Energy. Is that solar? Nova. Yep, solar. Yeah, Wolf, nice red to green. Yeah, I mean, guys, you know, there's a lot of names bucking market trend. I mean, look at the market over the last 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Okay, piece of shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, terrible. Since it hit 411 and just been absolutely creamed. I mean, absolutely smoked. You know, you've got a chart like Wolf. What has it done in the last 4 days? Literally, it's higher than it was 4 days ago. Right? I mean, that's like a stocks. I mean, it might as well whisper to you that it's going to go higher. I mean, guys, this is where your eyeballs and ears and, you know, it all comes into play here. You just need to look for tight, because if this thing is going higher in a shit market, imagine what it would do in a good market. I mean, just imagine. So your job is just to find a tight entry on this absolute monster and just sit tight. It's not to, you know, guess how high it can go, have your opinions about its fundamentals. Like, clearly they're good enough. Institutions want in on this thing. Hence the reason that it looks, it's got tons of relative strength. Look at every other stock in the market that's breaking down over the last 4 days. So the relative strength in this name is much higher than others. These are the kind of names you want to try to own. This is it. Or Suave or EMPH, or, names that are bucking market trend. And there's more than one. EMPH, FSLR, I only own one of those four names that I just mentioned, but you want to learn how to get yourself into these things. Because when that market pressure lifts, these things will just go higher all on their own, and again, whatever news hit recently, good news will probably just stay perpetuated. If it was earnings that did this, which it was, I'm assuming next quarter's earnings will be even better. And guys, look at their earnings. Every quarter, they lose less money on their earnings per share. So, what do you think happens if this trend continues? Next quarter, it might be a earnings beat. Yeah, LTHM appears to be finding support on the rising 20. I'm in this thing, so a close below the 20, I'm out. But yeah, LTHM, Wolf, LAC, kind of struggling today. Plug looks better, actually finding support on the rising 20. But you guys get the idea. This stock is like Wolf. It's screaming. It's absolutely screaming. Stupid Ape Trades. What do I think about F, like 2024, 2025 puts? I don't play options. So you're asking the wrong fella. Playing a possible head and shoulders on the monthly. If it sets up, it looks like it's got ways to go before it sets up completely. Yeah, I don't play options, man. But fact is Ford's been really nice since its last earnings. It had this really big, it had nice earnings, and then it had this big volume, and it hasn't turned around since. Why do you think that is? You think it's because traders like me and you are buying and holding? Doubtful. That's happening because of institutions. And the fact is it looks like it was getting up above all its moving averages. We'll see what it looks like in a couple weeks, but Ford looks better than worse to me, honestly. Not to mention, Tesla looks good. Not to mention Rivian showing, better strength these past couple of weeks. Not to mention seeing Lucid today. So I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is I see a couple of car, EV names and car companies that are setting up, or at least pushing higher recently. So I don't want to argue with the market. If market wants to push Tesla higher and Lucid higher and Rivian higher and Ford higher, then, we'll all be there for that. All of us will. But, I'm not concerned about 2024, 2025 puts. I mean, it's too far out, and plus I don't trade options. There's too many things working against you when you trade options. Time decay, strike price, I don't know, a bunch of other Greek letters I've said I don't understand. Or not that I don't understand, I haven't taken time to learn them. I haven't taken the proper amount of time to study options, at least. Because you don't need to. You can make plenty of money trading equities. You know, some people call Mark Minervini one of the best traders of all time. He only trades commons and he only longs things. You know, he doesn't short the market. Or he doesn't short individual equities, should I say. And yeah, that's, you know, I take a lot of my influence from those guys. Yeah, he shorts, but he shorts indices. He doesn't short individual equities. Roy Maddox shorts individual equities. Mark Minervini shorts the market. Yeah, there's a difference there. Um, and guys, I was talking about doing the exact same thing, um, you know, on like SDS or QID. I'm sure anybody who was here earlier in the week heard me mention, you know, you would play a QID or an SDS to hedge your portfolio. So you short the market, you know, as the market drops, SDS, QID go up, you know, as they go up and your positions pull back, you know, your equity curve is basically staying the same. That's exactly why you short the market. It's a hedge to your portfolio. That's it. It's the reason why you do it. So your equity curve doesn't go flying around or, you know, into this ugly 10, 20, 30% pullback. You know, nothing, no big deal about losing, you know, 5, 10%, whatever, but, you know, you don't have to see your equity drop 30% ever. So you just learn to hedge, which I don't do well enough. I'm going to be honest. I don't do it well enough. I don't practice it enough. It needs to be something that I do more often. CLEU. EMPH. I mean it. This looks great. Bastard. Yeah, there's not a lot to do here, guys. I said it before the day started up. There's everything just needs a little bit more time. You know, it's a good day to see what's bouncing off of support and what's not. You know, and again, the SPY looks like crap. It looks like it could very well roll over some more. I mean, it really, really does. But you know, certain names look good. Slow. ET. PAGP. not that thin. I don't know why this thing keeps popping up on my radar, but I love the base. If this thing just tightens up right underneath this supply area, I don't know why. I don't know what I like about it so much, but I do. I like it. Would be cool to see. MNTK. Oh. Maybe finding support on the rising 20. We'll see. Yeah, it's just a matter of seeing if these uranium names set up for higher, LTHM, SQM, notably. Um, Seeing if Tesla finishes setting up, that would be nice. Seeing if TAN finishes setting up, that would bode well for the rest of the solar names. And then I would like to get involved in FSLR, but I don't know how. I'm trying to figure that part out. And then but there are others that I could totally participate in. Run is SPWR solar, I believe it is. SunPower, yeah, this is another one we can maybe participate in. Plenty liquid, moves fast, is liquid. I mean, it's just this is perfect for an account like myself. But we'll see. Just needs to build out this right hand side a little bit more. And I will keep my eyes on TAN. I still own TAN from down here. We'll see. Yeah, it's funny. Look at how the semiconductor ETF is looking. Okay, 727. I bought Nvidia, AMD, Soxel, Apple, Tesla, all on the same day on 727. Look at how this one's looked since then. Okay, since this day. A higher low setup on the daily. Oh, Apple. What else did I buy on that day? I don't know. Irrelevant. Bought a bunch of shit. TAN as well, obviously. And then TAN. And look at the difference. Look at how well this is holding up. Look at how crappy Soxel's holding up. Yeah, there's a difference, guys. There's some sectors getting love, some sectors getting not. But you just have to, if you know the ETFs, you can figure out what sector money's going to pretty quickly, or where money's leaving. It's absolutely something that I think about. Someone on my Twitter keeps bringing up this JWN. Guys, is this something I'm interested in? The quick answer, it's fuck no. So something like ASAN2, I could believe this was some stopping volume. This might end up being the ultimate low. That's $16 based out. Had earnings and put in massive volume. Toast, man. I want to fucking own Toast. More Toast. Just need some setups. just need some better setups. Beam needs more time too, but Beam has made a big ass move. Really big move. It got nice and tight down here after it found support on the 20, over $40, and it damn near doubled. It damn near doubled. I mean, 3-day momentum burst, and you had yourself a really nice, 30% move in 3 days. That's why I swing. But look at the move it ends up giving you if you just wait for the close of 20, the close of the 10. Right here. 63. 40 to 63 in 3 weeks. 60% on your money. What's your most profitable swing trade of all time so far? It was Oxy, but because I oversized like an asshole. But I explained why I oversized earlier. Made about 170,000 on this thing in about 5 days. So yeah, I actually started getting aggressive as soon as it broke all-time highs in my sells. And then why? Because oil names looked a little toppy and the market looked like shit is why I started. And again, I had a very large abnormal position. And then once I cut myself down to regular size, like once I had like 4,500 shares left, I stopped myself out, the rest at 70. And I was in at like 66, just a little bit below 66. The longest swing trade I was ever in was Go. I bought Go right here on 6/16, and I didn't get stopped out until 7/26. So far, that's been my longest swing trade. A little over a month. About a month and a half. And you know what? In this market, I mean, I'm not going to expect something, to go 3, 4, 5 months. I mean, it's why that's why these EP setups can be so nice. Had I bought 240 and had I, maybe extended my stop a little bit, but I just respected my rules and stopped myself out at about 280. And then rebought it the very next day. So, yeah, I mean, a month. This one was very profitable as well. I was actually more profitable on this little 3-day push than I was on this first front leg. I always hesitate a little bit with buying a gap up. But yeah, profitable. I mean, EMPH was up there as well. It was 6 figures in 3 days. That was nice. But Oxy so far has been my most profitable, but it had to do with position sizing. But remember, guys, I talked about this. A breakout, for, buying BJ, okay, and buying it at 74, out of this day's high, it doesn't warrant the same kind of risk, right, as buying something like Oxy. Why? Because I believe the oil energy sector was stronger, and I went over why. Seeing names like CEG and NFE and, at the time, right, like what these were doing before Oxy took off, like these things were already going vertical. So it's like, holy shit, oh, look at all the money flooding that sector. Okay, once you see that, once you have that like confirmation, and then you start to come across any other kind of A+ setups that you would deem as A+, get aggressive. I got aggressive on DVN too, and I owned it at 63.90. I bought it on this day, and I caught a gap up. So, it got really, really tight in here. And I bought this thing as it was turning back up. So 63.90, and my risk was low of day. So it really was still within a range. I broke all my rules, guys. And, it's never recommended you guys break rules. But I did. And, I got fortunate, and it paid. And I was really aggressive in DVN as well. I actually owned 12,000 shares of this thing. And I sold some the very next day. Or 2 days later, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't going to look at, a move like this in the face, after having anticipated and then caught a gap up in that push. And I actually lied. I sold some the very next day because I had really big size. And I was just like, dude, you're a jackass. Like, You broke your own rules. You know, you caught a gift and a gap up. Like, get rid of some. So I did. You know, but I really liked how tight this was getting on the 60-minute. You know, plus it was starting to put in some higher lows. So I liked how tight it was getting. Plus, you know, again, guys, remember what every other name was doing at this time. This was on 817. You know, I had already seen what CEG was doing on 817. You know, this thing had already taken off. Or New Fortress, I had seen what that was doing. Or LNG. You know, 817, this thing's already up here. You know, it's gone. You know, here's 817 up here. Next day, sorry. So, you know, this thing was already gone. So it was just telling me what I already needed to know. And that's that money was flowing into that sector. So I wasn't too uncomfortable taking the trade, knowing that, you know, tons of money was flowing into that sector. I wasn't too nervous anticipating the setup or holding it overnight. I mean, I knew my risk would be okay overnight. But again, guys, that's going to come with a little bit more time, a little bit more experience, you know, scanning the market. You know, how are you going to anticipate a setup on DVN and then even catch a gap up if you have no idea what the rest of the sector's doing? I do know what the rest of the sector's doing. Know why? Because I scan all fucking day long. So it's like I can, you know, have a pretty good judgment of where money's going, where money's leaving. This aura is looking better and better. You know, you could kind of anticipate a setup like today and, you know, maybe buy over yesterday's highs. I won't. I'll just wait for it to break out of this little perfect flag. You know, but I wouldn't start sizing in. I actually want to buy it. You know, usually on the day it's going to start going up. But look, if Plug's got this really nice supply area, you know, just be patient. Let it build out a little bit more. If Plug's truly going to go, it's going to give you an opportunity. It's going to give you a tight setup on the 60-minute at least. You know, you don't have to anticipate it. It's in like this kind of a weird spot right now. You know, it's supporting on the 20, but it's kind of rejecting the 10 right now. So, and then, you know, on the 60-minute, it's like kind of rejecting the declining 20. And, you know, it still would have to get above the 50. You know, it's just, we could wait. You know, if it's truly going to go, I mean, look at the move it's already given. You know, 20 and it went to 30. It went 50%. So, you know, my point to that would be if it can go 50% once, it can go 50% twice. And if it can go 50% twice, it could do it again. You know, so just wait for perfection. Wait for your merchandise to be perfect. I mean, absolutely perfect. I said this yesterday. Just because the grocery store's open doesn't mean you're going to walk in there and buy bruised up bananas, are you? You know, you walk into your grocery store, look at bruised bananas and go, fuck it, I wanted bananas, I'm buying these. No, you don't, right? You just don't buy bananas. Or you go to the next store. Or you just wait until they restock, right? And give you some fresh-ass produce. But if you don't get some fresh produce, is that really what you want to buy? You want to buy some bruised bananas? Some day-old, 2-day-old, 5-day-old salad? You know, you go get your sushi that's old, been sitting there all week. You know, no. I like to go into Whole Foods and my sushi had just been fresh. You know, I like my bananas with no spots on them until I either let them come home and sit on the shelf. Yeah, because I want to get in before the crowd sometimes, and it had a halfway nice setup. Right? Had really made this big move up, had found support on the rising 20, and then it just started kind of building out. Plus, it was on, you know, it was on watch, and I know that their fundamentals are solid. Guys, I use MarketSmith for a reason. Right? And I had an alert set over this day's high, but obviously that wasn't the average I ended up getting. It was actually even lower than that. Okay, right there. So my alert hit there. I didn't even get in for another, 20 cents. I didn't get in for till 20 cents later. You know, I would have helped keeping my risk a little bit lower. Instead of a 30-cent risk, now it's a 50-cent risk. But you get a nice push like this with volume, and again, even when I bought it, it's now over the 10. And then what's the close look like? Great. Yeah, it's an anticipation setup, but by the time this day was done, I knew I was looking good. And I do setups like this all the time, guys. If you another guy who talks about this, not anticipation setup, but what's his name? He was a U.S. investing champ. Leaf, whatever it is, Soreide. He talks about wanting to buy things coming off of the 50, finding support on the 50. So, buying this as it's finding support on the rising 20, maybe putting in some higher lows. They have good fundamentals. And on the day it breaks out, it's pretty good volume. And the ADR is pretty good, almost 8% a day. Yeah, it's like just, one did this pretty well, EQT down here. Well, I mean, that's not the best one. I remember actually ALB was one. Where did it do it? It might have been on this side. Yeah, okay, so, I saw this thing get back up above all moving averages up here and then pull back. It was on earnings too, really nice earnings, and that's why it gapped up. And then it pulled back, right? It tried to undercut here, but it put in a nice day, meaning it was finding support on now the rising 200 and the 50. And I bought this day, right over this previous day's high. It's a little bit of a risky setup, but it worked like a charm. There's your entry. There's your exit. There's your risk. And the reward was pretty decent. It didn't end up working for forever, but the reward wasn't too bad. It wasn't perfect, but and then of course these things have kind of bounced back without really me paying attention. But I know guys who will see this thing hold the 50 and then kind of start to perk back up, and then as it starts to break back into this range, guys will buy right over that day's high. Right over this day's high. And then, on the hourly, what does it do? It starts to find support on the rising 20 on the 60-minute. It's why I use both time frames, right? And then what did you get? It rejected that supply, still continued to find support on the rising 20 on the 60-minute, basically got right up back to that line, continued to get tight right under the previous day's high, and then broke out. Right? There you go. And that's why I used, moving averages. You can just see it's finding support right in here. Finding support. And then it breaks through your area of interest, which is over the previous day's high. Right back into the range, right? And there you go. That's a setup. That's like a little cheat that I like to use. Kind of a little cheating kind of a setup. But I do it. So might as well let you guys know about it. You guys can use it yourself. It's not like we're always going to be trading the same names, but it is a way that you can get it. And then what does it do? A 3-day momentum burst. A big one too. Sell some into day 3 and then hold the rest for a close below the 20. You'd still be in this thing. You'd still be in. Had you bought down here 270s, you'd still be in. You'd have sold some up above 300, you'd still be in right now. With about half your size or something. This GLBE. It's not an ugly looking chart. You see, everybody was quick to rush into these ChargePoint and EVGO yesterday. And guess what? Well, I mean, ChargePoint's actually holding up pretty well, but I wouldn't have bought them yesterday. They weren't perfect. Gotta wait till your shit's perfect. LAC, kind of ugly here. But what will it do? Will it find support on the rising 50? who knows? No position for me. But could this be another one of these, you know, dip buy setups? It could be, right? Could be. Maybe find support on the rising 50, and then, whenever it takes out today's high, I at least want to know about it because it could be moving back into the range. Exactly, kind of like, maybe that ALB or whatever. Find support on the rising 50 and then starts to break back up and bounce back up. I don't necessarily need to wait for, this breakout up here at 32. You may not have to do that. You can get in, maybe a little bit sooner. And then 32 could be a good add, possibly. As long as the setup is right. As long as your risk is low. Trader, have a good one, brother. We will see you on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Yeah. Helix Energy Solutions. Cheaper name, but yeah. Yeah, nice eye. It's kind of in like this ascending, this little ascending, I don't know what the hell people call it, ascending wedge. Not necessarily my favorite setup. I want to see things flatten out. But yeah, it's not bad. Be lying to you if I told you anything else. Nothing. I haven't taken anything today, guys. I'm just managing what I own. I'm just here to scan in the morning, see what's bouncing, see what's not, manage my positions. Yeah, I haven't bought anything. I didn't buy anything yesterday, or I didn't buy anything today. I want to do that when the market wind is at my back. I want to piss with the wind at my back, not at my face. I don't want to pee on myself. Yeah, I don't want to buy it north. I don't if I miss the first I don't want to buy something as it's pulling back to the moving average. I want to buy it as it's turning back up. Right? So that's exactly why, like on LAC, right? What would I be seeing? Okay, so it pulls back, it wicks off the 50, and then tomorrow, let's just say it gaps up a little overnight, and then it starts to take out today's highs tomorrow. Right? Charts will do that. And then, like this thing could easily bounce back up to 29 today. Right? And then gap up a little bit overnight and then take out today's high tomorrow morning. Right? I would be interested in something like that. That could be considered a pullback setup. My current positions, CCJ, EMPH. I no longer own this one. GTLB, and I may not own it for much longer. STEM, TAN, Toast, and UEC. And I may not be owning UEC much longer if it closes below the 200 either. So we'll see. It filled in this little gap on the daily. It's pushing back up, but who knows? Guys, this had a beautiful support down here. On the daily. Yeah, that level's been really strong. Those low threes. But yeah, I've had a thesis on uranium for a while, so I've been wanting to get into some of these names for a bit and just be as patient as possible. I mean, hindsight, I would have sold as soon as I saw this reject the 460s a handful of times, but I didn't. I got a little stubborn myself because, same thing with CCJ. My first buy was at 25.64 and then 27.70, I believe, 27.30 over this red day's high. Right as it was pushing back up through here. So my average is lower than where it's at right now, and I'll be using a close below the 50 on CCJ. I want to own uranium names as long as possible, and I want to be as absolutely patient as possible. It sucks watching money go back and this and that, but it's not your money anyway. It's not your money until you close your position. Yeah, SHLS. What do I think about SHLS? SHLS, yeah, it's finding support on the 50, possibly just like CSIQ. I actually hope CSIQ closes like this. Super tight day. Tried undercutting the 50 and failing. Instantly bought up, closes above the 50, super tight between open and close. And then, you're buying it over today's high tomorrow. Again, it's not ideal, it's not perfect, but you want to sometimes get in before the crowd. And if your risk is tight, that's all I really give a shit about, guys. Is it in the right sector? And whales have been absolutely interested in this before. You didn't get just this 10 million shares of volume coming in for no reason when it, was only trading a million before that. So anything that's up 300% average daily volume and up 10% on the day, that's institutions. Remember that. That's not a Discord. That's institutions. So, yeah, CSIQ, SHLS, but a few names are acting even better, like Run. Run's even stronger, right? It's not coming down to the 50. It's holding the 20. So, which one's stronger? Run's stronger. EMPH is stronger. FSLR is the strongest. It won't even come down to the fucking 20 at all, let alone the 50. So yeah, solar's going to continue to lead the way. At least that's what it looks like from an institutional standpoint. I mean, institutions are clearly buying. I mean, guys, this isn't a Discord or Twitter pump, all right? This is institutional buying. This whole thing. Okay? So, I'm trying to figure out how to get situated into this sector. I'd love to own this name, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I need to see it go sideways for longer, personally. That's just me. I always want the lowest risk on all of my trades, on everything I take. I don't like losing money. I lose it all the time, too. And I don't like losing any more than I have to. Yeah, SHLS. Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought it up. I know you weren't comparing it to the leader, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be the leader or a leader to still make a really massive move. It doesn't. So you're good. I knew what you meant. And SHLS is in the right space, and it's finding support on the rising 50. What would I really like to see? Maybe these two tops at 25 get taken out. See 25 get taken out. And I wouldn't buy it today. I wouldn't buy it today. This market sucks ass. Absolutely nothing to do, guys, in this market. Don't force any trades. You'll be thankful you didn't. Especially if you're a swing trader. Let the pitches, let the stocks find you. Let your fat pitches come to you. Oxy's a different story, though. It's finding support on this rising 100, rising 100, rising 100. Today it wicked down basically to that area, to that little shaded bubble area I had, just so you guys can see, and it's bouncing right back off of it. Now my interest is going to be, how does the rest of the names look? How's PXD look? How's Oxy look? How's DVN look? How's XOM and CVX, right? We'll judge them all tomorrow, but could these all be finding support on the rising 50? Possibly. Possibly. I have no idea. We'll judge them all on Monday. This is at a pretty interesting spot here. This Euro. This is at a pretty interesting spot. It's just above the 50 and the 100 on the daily. It would be sweet if these names pushed up. Which one? Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Are you in California right now? Arizona. Oh, dude, it's so nice there. Dude, that looks unbelievable. Yeah, you send me that info. Holy cow, my buddy's FaceTiming me right now. He's in Sedona, Arizona, and his view is unreal. Oh, yeah? Tell her I said happy birthday. No, solar names. Look at like a name like EMPH and FSLR. I mean, these things are absolute monsters. There's nothing to do with them today, but keep them on radar. A few more would be like Run, SHLS. Yep, Run, SHLS, FSLR, EMPH, CSIQ. You know, if these names keep up, who knows? Sun W is going to turn into a 5-star setup here soon too. Can't even believe I'm saying that shit. Yeah. Yep. All right, brother. Enjoy that vacation, dude. Looks beautiful. Yes, sir. Keep scanning. Don't stop scanning. Yeah, I mean, even Sun W's getting its shit together, guys. As crazy as that even is to stare at right now. Unbelievable. That's just, it's not because Sun W is some incredibly great company, but this volume's coming in because it's in the right space. That's why. Yeah, I don't, I don't mind taking times to explain things. I'm not trading right now. If I'm focused on my setups and my trading, you'll hear me be quiet for a moment, but, I'm happy to answer questions, guys. It's what I'm here for. Help you guys make sense of a little bit of what's going on. Teach you guys about being a little bit more patient with your trades, with your trading in general. There's plenty of money to be made in this market, but you just got to scan it. Figure out where money's going, where money's leaving. That's it. And then look for tight. Look for some form of tight so you can get involved in a longer term trend. Anything else in this market about how high something should go, if how low something is already, like those are just opinions. We keep that shit to ourselves. Like I said, I've got an opinion about what uranium can do, but I might end up being stopped out of my name. So, again, my thesis about the world needing nuclear, well, I could just be totally wrong. Or, it's not those charts that are the ones that are going to go. Or my timing's off, whatever. Something. This SPWR doesn't look too bad either. Look at what all these names are doing. SPWR finding support on the rising 20. Run finding support on the rising 20. SHLS finding support on the rising 50. CSIQ maybe finding support on the rising 50. So these FSLR finding support on the rising 10. EMPH found support on the rising 20. I mean, there's just, they're acting right. even despite how bad this SPY looks, it literally looks like we're about to keep rolling over here. You know, meanwhile, the SPY's rejecting the 20 and rejecting the 10 and, you know, below all moving averages on the daily. But yet, there are names like FSLR that don't know what the market's doing. And they don't care, right? Why do you think that is? Because whoever's buying this, whatever institutional player is buying the hell out of this, doesn't care. Doesn't care about inflation, doesn't care about CPI prints, doesn't care, okay? So we have to take note of that and look for a proper setup to get long in something like this. You know, guys, we're little tiny fish. There's institutions out there with $100 billion to play with, $100 billion or more. You know, they do their buying over the course of weeks, months. You know, it takes them a long time to own, 50 million shares of FSLR. It takes them a long time for a pension fund to own 30 million shares of, and again, like a lot of institutions have big money. Once they want to put it to work, in one particular stock and institutions all gang up on one name, well, this is what happens. The damn thing won't even touch the 20. Why? Because there's a steady bidder on that tape. There's somebody willing to buy on every little uptick and downtick, it looks like. There's just not enough sellers showing up to the party. And here's the thing too, guys, like, yeah, we're in a bear market, but I believe our indices are finding bottom. And the reason I say that is because, we've got a couple of sectors that can really carry things higher. We've got these healthcare names like Cigna and Humana, and, we were just looking at these and whatever else. We were looking at some other ones earlier. And then, the TAN ETF, Solars. You only need one or two or three sectors to carry the whole enchilada higher. Now, will the market struggle if Apple and Microsoft go lower? Yep. But that sure as hell doesn't mean that the TAN ETF can't go higher, and neither can those Solars. They definitely can. They're doing it right now. But yeah, guys, there's not much else to do today. There really isn't. Is Tesla finding support on the rising 10? I guess we won't know. It'll be hindsight tomorrow. But I'm going to wait for Tesla to get perfect. I'd love to own this name. It's like the perfect price now, too, to own, like 1,000 shares or something. Yeah, today's stream, just like the rest of them, will be uploaded into my YouTube page. I'm going to figure out a way to get my YouTube link on my Twitter bio as well, so everybody can find it a little easier. But yeah, all these videos, all these recordings, they're just going to be on YouTube. Not that, anybody who's participated in these, or been here while it's live, maybe you're not going to rewatch it. But for anybody else, who hasn't had a chance to view it live, then, at least watching the recap at the end of the day, it'll be on YouTube. It would be nice if this Netflix was above all moving averages. Look at this nice tight day. These are like the kind of tight days I dream about. If this had, no moving averages, you would just see a move up and then a move sideways. That's all you'd be seeing. But when you zoom back, you realize there's like an unlimited supply of overhead. So it's just a straight pass for me. But who knows? Maybe in 6 months or so, this will catch up to the 200, get up above the 200 and base out. And then it can continue going back to being Netflix. This EMPH looks so nice. Yeah, yeah. It's not only is it a giant gap, it's tons of overhead. It's just a pass for me. I want my money going up. I don't want my money to have to struggle. And your money will struggle in anything with that's got big overhead. Think about EMPH right now. It's damn near at 52-week highs. Like, where are the unhappy investors in this thing? Where are the bag holders? Right? There's so few. There's such few bag holders in this thing. Like, they're damn near non-existent. Versus Peloton. How many bag holders are in this thing? Right? Any up move, I mean anything, it's going to see pressure because anybody who bought it anywhere along this downtrend like a total fool, just wants to get out now. They've been trapped. and now they just want to get out. And if you bought it at 20 thinking it was, down too much from 100 or 170, your money's been cut in half again. And it would literally have to give 100% move just for you to get back to break even. Let that shit sink in. That's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. So yeah, we don't want to be in stocks with big overhead. Like, again, it's a reason why I don't like something like Lucid too much. Lucid's down from just its November highs. It's down 70%. 70%. Tesla is, it's only down 30%. There's far less bag holders in this name. Far, far less. Tesla gave a absolutely picture perfect setup here. I mean, it's given several, but right here, oh man, that volatility contraction, and then look at how tight this day is. Look at how absolutely tight that day is. Oh my goodness. Gaps up out of the range, on a red day, so, I don't exactly know how you'd execute on that day. It gaps up too high, and then, but, once it takes out that top, that very next day, right in here, once that happens, yeah, Tesla right here was just, man, perfect. Absolutely perfect. Yeah, Tesla's given a few examples of that. And again, Tesla may be setting up again. I have no clue. I will continue to wait and be patient. Let the setup develop. If it's meant to go, guys, you only need a handful of these a year. But yeah, it's going to be solars for next week. It's going to be Run, SHLS, FSLR, CSIQ, SPWR. I'll have them all on watch. Every single one of them, the whole sector, And I already own TAN, but I would like to own more. Owning ETFs kind of chews up a little bit of buying power because you can't leverage, like you can't use margin. So I won't own too much more, but it'll be a good way to increase my exposure to the rest of the names. The names I can't buy. All I own is EMPH right now. In that space, I'd like to own CSIQ too. Their fundamentals are actually really solid. CSIQ's got really nice forecasted growth. So we'll see. But the way these are closing today, very encouraging. All the solar names are just from first glance, they're acting the best in the entire market. I mean, I've got a few of these on my this scan of mine just kind of works itself and gives me fresh names as they meet the criteria. And I got 4 solar names on there: EMPH, Run, Array, Nova, I relied. That's another one, and CSIQ. And literally, this is the entire scan: CSIQ, Nova, ISEE, CPRX, Array, Lithium, Run, EMPH. That's it. That's it. That's all I've got on that scan. And in a few minutes, it'll change back up, and if anything else starts to meet the criteria, it'll go on that scan. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 8 names are solar. 5 of the 8 names on that scan right now are solar. No, I don't use trade ideas for scanning. I only use it so I can look at what large cap names have gapped up. All the rest of the noise that you hear is small caps moving. I don't use it anymore. I got it when I first started trading, and I've never gotten rid of it. I like the sound of the robotic voice. She's become a comfort to my ear. And this is why I avoid these damn pharmaceutical biotech names. I mean, I don't know that I can stomach a stock going from 76 to 58. Like, in just a, I mean, I can't stomach that. Not if I've got 3,000 shares, I can't. I'm not trying to see 60, 70 grand whip around in 2 hours. It's out of my comfort zone. Appa, we'll see. Is a name like Appa finding support on the rising 10? Appa is looking even a little bit better than Oxy recently. But we'll see. Oxy is actually stronger. Oxy just recently made 52-week highs, so don't want to talk too much smack about it, but this pins too has been acting much better lately. Again, names like pins, they're it's probably done. They're probably have bottomed already. It's going to take an act of God to have these see new fresh 52-week lows. Even if the market took an absolute beatdown, this thing probably just goes back to the ascending 50, $22. If like ultimate panic and fear flooded the market and the market just absolutely tanked and gapped down, and these names aren't going, like a lot of these names like Snow and stuff, CSIQ, you're not supposed to be doing this right now. You're supposed to wait for me till tomorrow. We'll have to adjust the what today's highs is later. But yeah, this could very well be a dip buy setup, guys. Look, it undercut the 50. It's rallying, so it means it could be very well finding support on the 50. And if you buy it over today's highs and it works, right? Well, then it's clearly have found support on the rising 50. That's exactly what that would mean. That's exactly what that would mean. So we'll see. We'll see how it closes. I'd like to see these 60-minute EMAs not be downtrending too. So we'll see. I might just be more patient on some of these names. There'd be nothing wrong with me buying it, over this little top 42 and over these little tops right here on the daily, right? Over 913's top, 914's top. Nothing wrong with that. If I did that, then it would be above the 1020 on the daily moving averages as well. Again, guys, my only real focus is how do I limit my risk? If I'm wrong, how do I take the smallest loss possible? That's all I really care about. I've got the patience to sit in a trade. I've got the patience to scan the market. But I'm still in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names. 7. Got more than enough exposure to this market. And right now I'm only right on one name. And it's not even by a bunch. look at tan. Maybe finding support. Maybe some higher lows, finding support on the 50. Just like a bunch of its, friends are doing. Yeah, there's nothing to do. Guys, the market sucks. Plus FSLR. Like, okay, after a day like today, let's just hypothetically assume I buy it, and then the market rolls over some more. If you're buying it over yesterday's highs, and then, all these names just gap down because of the market, you're going to be red. Plus, like, I don't want to buy something at 135 with a $5 risk right now. Not in this market. Not in this market. The last best setup I saw was right here. I showed it the other day. Look at this clear as day supply area. There you go. Right? And it went sideways 5 days in a row, basically, while surfing the 10. And when it broke over that, there's your long signal. 130s basically. First hourly candlestick to make a high. Maybe even a situation like this, or over the previous day's high. Between 127 or 129.71 and 130.18. You could have bought anywhere right in there with your stop at low a day. But again, it's not perfect. It needs to really build out like a better base. Like, this is just vertical. I think risk first all the time. Risk first. I would rather just watch FSLR keep carrying the party, just root it on to be strong. Like I said, I'm already in EMPH, which I believe is the, it's another leader in the space. And, like I said, I've got my eyes on CSI, and I'm also in TAN. So I've got some exposure to the whole sector. But I would like to own, maybe CSIQ, maybe SPWR, maybe Run. Whichever one ends up looking the best. And again, if you get traction in it, like if you get traction in Run or in EMPH and TAN, and then you buy Run and SHLS and those begin to work, like, I'll keep looking for solar names. I don't want to get too crazy to one sector, but TMC, Pennyland, but nice daily build. Yeah, it may have found bottom, but it's a no-go for me, dude. This is it's a piece of shit. And it could double. It could easily go to this declining 200, but yeah. Can't do nothing with it myself. But it's fairly liquid. It built out a nice little mini flag, like if you had no moving averages on your charts. It's like the little miniest flag ever. It's not perfect, but it's a flag. But it's just, guys, there's 12,000 names in the market. You can double your account if you own 4 of them. This doesn't fit the bill as one of the 4 that I would need to own so I can double my account. Remember that. You only need to own 4 names to double your entire bit. 4 or 5 names, that's it. Why would I want to own a $1 name? Remember, it's $1 for a reason. Literally, it's $1 for a reason. Yeah. Speculation. Or more like, instead of the word speculation, well, you just use gambling. More like gambling. It's what it is. Buying TMC. It's more like gambling. Again, unless it's a day trade. Yeah, or dog shit. Yep, perfect. And you know why I don't pick up dog shit? Because you never know when you pick up dog shit if it's going to be hot or cold. That's why I don't pick up dog shit. It's just gambling, right? I gave the casino analogy earlier today. You know, I want to walk in. We only have to take, or imagine the scenario where you get to walk into a casino and you're playing poker, and you only get to put money down, or you get to put money down after you've seen your cards. Okay, that's what the stock market is. I get to see my cards, make sure they're aces, and then put my money down. Okay, TMC is not, they're not aces. That's a, at worst, or I mean at best, that's a pair of threes. Okay, at best. Okay, I mean, you know, but imagine you get to put your money in after you've seen your cards. Or imagine if you're playing blackjack, right? And and I get to put my money down after I see two face cards and the dealer's got a six. Okay? Like, imagine I get to finally place my wager when I see the dealer's got a six. But when I see the dealer's got a ace or a king or a 10 or any face card, I don't put any money down. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna just pass on this one. You know, yeah, float size. When I think about float size, I don't necessarily think about it. What my brain goes to is average daily range instead. Because something can have a fairly big float, but if it moves, you know, 5% a day, that's it. That's all, you know, like you don't need your stock to move anymore. But if it moves 2% a day, you know, that's just too slow. And usually something that moves that slow just means because it has a very big float. You know, that's usually true. Like Apple moves 2.44% a day, and or like its average daily range is typically 2.2.5, call it. And you know, its float's massive, and we know that. You know, so that's something I definitely take into consideration. Not so much float size as much as I think about average daily range. Average daily range is what's going to get you paid. You know, how fast is the stock? Yeah, Apple, the safe trade. Apple's not really safe right now. It doesn't look like. None of these tech giants look safe. Not Apple, not Microsoft. Definitely not Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft about to see new lows, man. You know, new 52-week lows look like right on deck. Or maybe not. Maybe it's a double bottom on the daily. Maybe. We'll see. It'll be hindsight, right? But what isn't it? It isn't above moving averages, and it isn't a setup. So, thoughts on Wolf for re-entry? I mean, Wolf needs to create a clean and clear supply line, whether using a downtrend line or a horizontal line. That's it. That should be the only real thought. You know, it needs to create some form of pivot using either a trend line or using, you know, some kind of horizontal line. That's it. That's like my only, thought when it comes to Wolf. You know, I don't see a very clean supply area. It's above the 1020. It's had good volume. It's, you know, finding support on the rising 20. But, you know, how do we get in? Well, we get in by looking for a tight area, whether on the 60-minute or the daily. Ideally, the daily's above its moving averages, right? You know, and no, I'm going to disagree that Wolf will only move with the market. I don't think that that's true at all. You know, the market has been absolute dog shit for 1, 2, 3, 4 days, and potentially it rolls over more. Like, it's got that look, right, that it can. And Wolf hasn't done that at all. Yeah, Wolf gapped down some with the market, but every other stock did this too. But the weak ones have died and are trending lower, and the strong names are right back up or higher. You know? they're right back or higher than they were 5 days ago. When the market was nice up at, $410. Wolf's higher than it was when the market was at 410. Let that sink in. What's Wolf trying to tell you? So, and again, if Wolf really moves with the market, then why doesn't it look like the market? Wolf's above the 1020 on the daily. The SPY's below everything. Okay, so no, I respectfully disagree. If you want to say that about Apple, fine. If you want to say that about Microsoft, fine. But you can't say that about Suave, and you can't say that about Wolf, and you can't say that about EMPH, and you can't say that about FSLR. And guys, these are stocks that are marching to the beat of their own drum. Hasabuya. Hasabuya. He made it, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, guys, there are certain stocks that are marching to the beat of their own drum, regardless of what the indices look like. And I mean that literally. Like they're just completely ignoring what the market is doing. And that's what you want to see some names doing. That's where your leadership comes from. Everybody's wondering, where's the next leadership going to come from? Well, the best looking ETF is by far TAN. And then the best looking names showing the most relative strength right now is a name like, again, SPY's going down today, down another 1.5% or 1.2%. And, runs green. SPWR's green. FSLR's green. I mean, guys, don't overthink it, please. The less brain cells you try to use, the better. More successful you'll be. Yeah, STEM, near green. Some institution somebody wants into this thing. Somebody wants into this thing. And I didn't add a few days ago. You could have, in hindsight, added 1675s, and then use about $16 as your risk off stop level, 1590. But I just passed. It wasn't perfect enough. But yeah, general market direction right now sucks. Like the indices sucks. But that's why, like in a market like this is the best time to figure out where money's going. I mean, imagine what these solar names are telling you in this market. And imagine if we didn't have that market pressure. These names would be absolutely ripping, right? So your job is to identify them. So when the market does turn up, you're ready to execute out of things coming out of some sort of clean consolidation or clean base. Learn what a follow through day looks like, because any one of these days, we may get a follow through day, sometime next week or the week after that. As soon as the market's done rolling over, odds that we get a follow through day are going to be pretty high. And then, there's going to be some setups that are nice and clean and that are pushing out of that consolidation on follow through day. Or sometimes the leaders, they take off a day before follow through day or a week before follow through day. Like if EMPH, if it started this breakout, like if, since I got my entry down at 288 and, the market struggles for another week, but EMPH just goes sideways, EMPH is already like really broken out long time ago. It broke out, a month and a half way before the market was done, correcting, building its base. But guys, sentiment has gotten about as bad as it could be in the market. And, again, in my opinion, it's still going to take quite a bit of work to get it down to those 360s. Like, it would take, a little minor miracle to get it back down there. Now, can it happen? Can it happen? Absolutely. But, like this period here, like when this thing started to flag up in June, it was hard to find leadership in the market. There wasn't stocks ripping and roaring. There wasn't Suave hadn't developed, FSLR hadn't developed, EMPH hadn't developed, Wolf hadn't developed. Like, there's a lot of stocks that look much better developed today than back in June, before the market rolled over to its this what could be ultimate low at 360. So but when you look around now, there's names like STEM, there's names like the Solars, there's names like, potentially these uraniums and these lithium names. And, you could look around the market and there's much more leadership than there was back in June. Right? And why do you think that these charts are going up? They're going up because institutions are buying them, meaning institutions are now getting involved into the market, and they're getting involved in the market in the leading space. So but CCJ is not looking too great for me right now. Hopefully I'm giving it the close of the 50, which would really suck, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm still alive, brother. But speaking of, I'm probably going to be getting off here shortly. There's nothing else to do. I was just monitoring my positions, talking some nonsense with you guys. So, boo. Don't worry, Hugh. We got all next week, man. Just throw me up on a screen. Yeah, there's not tons to do. I didn't open any positions yesterday. Didn't open any positions today. Just managing what I have. 2 solar positions, 1 uranium name. GTLB might end up stopping me out today. Unfortunately, we'll see where it closes. STEM. But yeah, there's not a ton to do, guys. There's not a ton to do. Hopefully, we recapped quite a bit this week, and we'll come back next week, and we'll kind of just see where the market's at. We're not going to get aggressive. If things are really going to go over, roll over, I'm just going to grab my popcorn and enjoy the show. That's all I'm going to do. I won't be heavily invested. The things that I'm in are green. They'll end up cutting me out where they end up cutting me out, and I'll end up making whatever I end up making. That's out of my control. I've got my areas where I know I'll stop out, and if the market's really going to roll over, next week we'll all just pop some popcorn together and watch the fireworks. And then what's left, when the dust settles, there's your leaders. What's holding up best when the dust settles, there's your leaders. Maybe something like Aura, maybe something like NOC looks really constructive and amazing. Maybe Ford gets its shit together. Maybe Tesla gets its shit together. Maybe BJ continues higher. Maybe these solar names. Like, there is going to be some names that are holding up, and that's going to be our focus when the dust settles. But again, when the market's going lower, I'm not looking to buy anything, guys. Remember, there are days when just because the market is pushing higher, the market has like a 90% up day, meaning 90% of the stocks in the S&P 500 or 90% of the stocks in the NASDAQ, or they are all green, 90% of them. So you could almost buy anything and have a green day. But we're not just going to buy anything randomly. We're going to buy things that are coming out of a clean, simple base, a clean, tight pivot, and then again, we're going to use some fundamentals to our advantage. Does the company have good fundamentals? Is it in the right sector? And those things matter. But we're going to do it when it's in a healthy market. And, you're going to be able to get incredible traction like that. But until we get better conditions, manage what you have. Keep your stops tight. Don't get overly aggressive. And that's it. That's all you guys can do. That's all we can do as traders. Unless you want to day trade all day long, you can do that. But anyway, guys, my day is done here. I will see you all on Monday, and enjoy your weekend. Have a good one, guys.